Welcome to Peck Brothers. We've got so much work to do on this Chinese mini truck, it ain't even funny. About 2 weeks ago, we made a freaking massive order of parts, and they all showed up last week while we were down in Moab. So first things first this week, we've got to get this puppy steering. But before we do that, we've got to re-gear this front axle, and we don't have any of the tools, and we aren't very experienced in doing so.
I freaking hope we do this right.
Having problems with gears is not a good thing.
No.
And I don't feel like it's a very good job for me because those teeth, like the pattern has to just match just absolutely perfectly. And if it's not perfect, I'm not going to ever... It's always going to be in the back of my mind. You guys can put it away and floor it and be fine. I can't do that.
Brett says perfect. I think they just got to be good enough.
It definitely needs to be me and Alex doing it, because if it's Brady, it's going to take a straight week. Whoa! Alright, this is actually pretty cool. So this is our old gear set with the ring gear, the carrier, and the pinion. And this right here is our new ring gear and new pinion and new carrier. All these fancy gears in here that spin and get all complicated basically just mean that both tires can spin independently. This new one means that as soon as the axle shaft is slipped in here and slipped in here, both of those tires have no choice but to spin exactly the same.
Which pretty much just means broken axle shafts.
Yeah, usually that's what that means. But on top of putting a locker in this axle, we also are re-gearing it. And it's cool because you can actually see that this ring gear has more teeth on it than the other one. And a good low re-gear is an absolute must when you're trying to turn 43-inch tires.
So we're not going to really do like a how-to on how to do this. This is more just if us three can figure out how to put this thing in and make it work good without lighting the truck on fire or killing each other.
This is an extremely irritating job.
For anybody that ends up paying a shop to re-gear their vehicle,
it's worth it.
Just pay them.
It's worth it.
And don't complain what they charge you. Just let them do their thing, let them do it right, and pay them. And live your happy life after that.
I was out licking doorknobs yesterday hoping to take a sick day. Because I knew gears were coming.
You lick doorknobs even when you want to go to work. No, this is literally because we couldn't get the mini truck in somewhere fast enough and out fast enough. Typically for a shop to do this, they're going to have your rig for a good week, unless they're cranking.
Yeah, you don't really want to get the shop that can do it same day and have it done in a few hours.
Every single axle is different. They're all cast a little bit different when they get made in the factory, and so to get this thing to sit in there perfectly, the factory put this one in, and I'm sure it was dang near perfect because it's a Ford.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If it was a Dodge, we wouldn't be able to say, hey, this is reliable.
Yeah.
So the best place to start is to take the shims from the top and the bottom and move them right to our new carrier, put it all together and throw it in and see how close it is. And then when it's completely off, at least we tried.
Do we have to have Braid check our work?
Absolutely not. This is not math class.
As soon as I'm done cleaning everything, so reassembly's good and it's painted and ready,
You need to start working on something else.
I'm going somewhere else.
Yeah.
We're just going to put the diff cover back on and call it good.
Yeah. All right, we're going to try something new here. All three of us, we read every single comment every single week on our videos, and there's been one that's been sticking with me for weeks. It's not about how loud and obnoxious I am. It's not about how my jeans are way too tight. It's not about how we talk way too much.
Is it about your haircut?
It's not that either. Somebody said that we needed to try AG1 with cranberry juice. So we've got some, and we're gonna test it out. I take AG1 every single day, and I make Brady take it too, because when he does take it, I get yelled at way less.
I have no choice but to drink AG1 when I'm hanging out with you.
Like we were saying, AG1 just makes us feel good. We feel a boost in energy, improved focus, and helps manage my stress, and I need all the help I can get working with these two idiots. Ooh.
That's gonna be strong.
Yeah, it probably is. Where the flip's the lid? I feel like I'm gonna get hit.
Yeah, it's gonna be by me.
Dude, this is actually working like a charm. Here's the whole moment of truth right here.
Wow.
It's a little sour.
You need to just stick with orange juice or water.
Yeah, I think orange juice actually is the move. Typically, you just use cold water is all you need. But obviously, we like to church it up around here. We normally use orange juice, and I kind of think that's the move. That puppy that I just drank was packed with vitamins, minerals, pre- and probiotics, and superfoods.
I got bad news. The bearing puller we just bought, it don't work.
I've had it.
It's a good thing you got so much energy now, because you got to run back to town.
Well, at least AG1 did their research, so you don't have to. So click this QR code or head to the link in our description and get a year's supply of D3K2 and 5 travel packs with your first purchase. Thank you so much, AG1, for supporting our channel and sponsoring today's video. All right, we got to change of plans. We've been running around all morning trying to find the right tool to pull this bearing off, and we literally cannot get one anywhere close. The reason this bearing has to come off is we need to know what the shims are underneath it so we can have a starting point. The good news is we ran over to our local off-road shop this morning, and we were talking to them about using their puller. We're good buddies, and basically they were like, just don't touch anything else. Bring it over here. We'll give you good deals. So they're probably going to set up all the gears for us. It's literally cheaper to pay them than to buy the puller that we need. And it means that we're finally going to have something that we don't have to do twice on this truck.
So with that being said, we're going to start on this steering.
We got every power steering component that we could possibly use for this mini truck from a company called Off-Road Elements. They're basically a dealer for a bunch of the heavy hitters in the off-road industry like PSC, so they're kind of a one-stop shop for stuff like this when you're building your rig. So huge shout out to Off-Road Elements for getting us these parts so fast. Brady's been getting these knuckles ready for the Motobilt high steer arms, and they're looking absolutely phenomenal.
I just don't really know why I nominated myself to do this job.
It's not a job I want, that's for sure.
Well, whoever gets nominated to weld these is the guy that's going to take the blame when they break.
That looks like it might be you too.
Yeah, the other bad part is these are cast steel, and they don't weld quite the same as mild steel. Actually, I'm not even sure if they're cast steel or cast
No, there's
iron,
controversy about what they're made of. It could be ductile iron, it could be anything. But the reason that that matters is because chances are like 90% that our welds are going to crack, because that cools at a different rate than this cools. So unless Brady does it perfectly, these things are going to get busted off of the mini truck, then we're not going to have steering.
The nice thing is Motobilt casts in a nice safety bolt, so your welds could break, but hopefully the bolt would at least hold in there to get you off the trail.
These regular factory knuckles that come on a Super Duty, the tie rod gets mounted super low, and there really isn't a great way to do full hydro setup from that mount. So Motobilt designed and engineered these high steer mounts that you weld onto the knuckle, that you run both of your tie rods to this bolt on this side and the other bolt on the other side, and they're perfect.
controversy on how to do this the right way and the wrong way. But the way that we're gonna do it is we're gonna heat the knuckle up with this weed burner to 300 or 400 degrees, and then weld our high steer arm on, peen it with the hammer here. If everything goes right and they cool about the same time, you shouldn't hear any pinging, cracking, popping, anything like that. Because if it does, that's a lot of weld to clean up and cut off and deal with. And I pray I've already got a lot of time in these. I hope that that's not the case.
I feel like since we're putting way more effort in than we normally would, they should be good.
Either that or it's the other way around. It's the thing that you don't even care, you don't put any effort in, that never has a problem.
Once they're all welded, we've got our cooling blanket here. It's a fiberglass welding blanket. We're gonna wrap them up in there and hopefully they cool at the same time. That's what we're hoping.
Alright, we let these things cool overnight, and it's time to see if they cracked.
I'm gonna be so mad. They kind of look like hamburger, but
It does look like we shot it with a shotgun, but the welds all look good. I am pumped though, because they're finally done, and we can put them back on the truck.
no, they're not.
What?
I remembered last night.
Oh.
I got this piece.
I've had it.
These things fit in here.
What?
How come we didn't think about that yesterday when this was all
I
hot?
did. I thought about it last night before midnight.
I guess that was yesterday. So we're literally going to heat this whole thing back up, weld it, and slow cool it again.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
There's something about this mini truck and having to do everything twice.
Alright, 2 hours later, we don't have time to wait.
I didn't hear any loud sounds like cracking.
No,
Oh.
just more hamburger.
If they haven't cracked yet, they probably aren't gonna until we, start side loading some pressure on them.
I hope this piece comes off and hits you in the head.
I've had it. I don't think that's how you're supposed to press those in, but I mean,
So it is. But I don't think we're building this truck how it's supposed to be built either, so.
dude, that looks so sick.
I love the way it looks. It's just gonna be if everything clears.
We're gonna check that right now.
With air? Do you think it'll hurt it?
No clue. We're gonna do it.
It's probably not supposed to have air in
I
there.
didn't see why it would hurt it, but I'm sure the comments will let us know.
This will be another thing we'll just do twice. Here we go.
Oh my gosh. That is so nuts to see it turn.
So cool.
Dude, that's sharp too.
Why don't we just run a big air compressor and just run air?
That's a good question. What do you think, Braid?
Genius.
Air can compress though. I think that's the problem. Fluid
Have
can't.
a compressor,
Right.
so you compress it before it compresses.
For you guys who remember, we bought this work. It had a big, humongous front bumper on it that we ended up ripping off the first day. We had to steal Alex's front bumper off his truck, and his truck hasn't had a front bumper now for like 2 weeks. But there's a real unfortunate part to this story.
We straight up got hustled on this deal. While we were in Moab last week, we had a kid reach out that wanted our big old ranch hand bumper. He said that he had an OEM bumper like this one in good shape that he was gonna give us plus some cash. So we're like, all right, you know, here's the address. He came up, left his bumper on the trailer, took ours, and we get home and there's a big old huge dent in it that he didn't tell us about.
The picture he sent me was off of like a super, super pristine truck. Looked brand new. And he says, I got a brand new valance for the bottom. It's ready to go.
So when we realized it, we reached back out to him and was like, dude, you didn't tell us there was a huge dent. Like, we obviously wouldn't have done it. You told us it was in good shape. He pretty much just said, there's nothing you can do about it, and deal with it.
We don't want to name names here, but if you know this guy, don't ever do anything with him. And if you see him walking down the road, tell him to give us our bumper back. It's kind of hard to see a dent in chrome on camera, but it was hit here, here, and here. So if you see us rolling around with this dent in the front bumper, don't make fun of us. That's what happened. So that's our unfortunate bumper story.
All right, this puppy's loaded up and it's going to get the gears done. This week kind of got thrown off because I'm headed to Mexico right now and we were planning on having all the stuff that we needed to do the gears ourselves. So not everything always goes to plan when you're building the mini truck. But make sure you're subscribed because as soon as we hit 100,000 subs, we're starting our podcast and we're not too far from starting this puppy up and ripping down the road in it.